Honey Boo Boo was always scared that Mama June would die from an overdose. Honey Boo Boo recalled the terror she went through during Mama June's darkest addiction days. After several years, she is sharing the crazy tale of her dysfunctional family. Everything has come together in her biggest release of the year, covering her pageant days. Lifetime bagged her for Alana's biopic, I Was Honey Boo. While she was excited to narrate her own life story, fans got curious about the origin of her name Honey Boo Boo. Not her real name, but people made her famous with those words she used to say during the show randomly. She doesn't even know how it got her fame and money. Alana shares Mama June's reaction to her Lifetime biopic. Alana Thompson's Lifetime biopic will reveal many harsh realities about her life, and she is agitated about how Mama June will react to them. She said she had mixed feelings after she documented her life for the film. Before its release, she confessed to being a little nervous due to what she included about herself and her sisters. Alana made it clear that she didn't try to tarnish June's reputation by portraying her in a bad light. However, she thinks that Shannon was mad at her for only speaking the truth, and it's alright. The WeTV star encountered her mom's weird behavior along with the entire crew of her old shows. She often found herself locking the doors of the bathroom in the room. Once in school, she noticed she was coming out with a cracked-out tooth. Honey Boo Boo says she lived a scary life because of Mama June's overdose. Honey Boo Boo doesn't want to hide June's wild history anymore, so as a narrator of her biopic, she reveals her family's downward spiral story. In an emotional confessional in a movie scene, she recounted the times when her mama started to take drugs. It was 2019 when she acted a bit differently, ultimately making her daughter frightened and confused. As Alana confronted June with her worries, she didn't pay heed to her. This is when Pumpkin came to her younger sister's rescue since she had picked her up with her estranged husband, Josh. June wasn't bothered that her daughter started to live in another house away from her. In the film, she called Shannon's drug addiction the worst. Behind the rebranding of Mama June, from Not to Hot to Family Crisis, Alan said that June didn't show up for filming. Shannon didn't pick up her youngest daughter's calls for the longest time. Hence, the producers recognized that there is indeed a crisis in the family that needs to be addressed through a new name. Though Alana desperately tried to protect June, she felt betrayed. During season 3 of Family Crisis, she and her sisters came together for their mama's intervention. At that time, they noticed that all she ever cared for was her drugs. All these made a teen like Alana understand that she lost her mama. Stay tuned to TV season and spoilers for further updates. In a heartbreaking revelation that has shaken fans across reality television, Alana Honey Boo Boo Thompson is finally opening up about the darkest fear that shaped her childhood, her teenage years, and the delicate foundation of the young adulthood she continues to build. The constant, overwhelming terror that her mother, Mama June Shannon, would die from an overdose. 4 years, the cameras captured chaos, laughter, drama, and dysfunction. But what they didn't capture was the emotional burden Alana carried behind the scenes, the sleepless nights she spent waiting for calls that thankfully didn't come, and the lingering trauma that followed her even as she tried to smile her way through growing up on television. Now, with stunning honesty, she is peeling back the curtain on what it truly felt like to be a daughter living in the shadow of addiction, neglect, fear, and survival. And the truth is far heavier than anyone imagined. As Alana revisits these painful memories, it becomes clear that her fear wasn't fleeting or exaggerated. It was real, constant, and overwhelming. While millions of viewers laughed at her adorable catchphrases and big personality years ago, she was secretly navigating a home life where disorder was normal. The very foundation of her family was unstable, and the unpredictable patterns of Mama June's addiction created an environment filled with dread. Alana reveals that even as a child she recognized the warning signs. The slurred words, the sudden disappearances, the broken promises, the money that went missing, the strangers cycling through their home. Every time Mama June vanished, every time she seemed off, every time she locked herself in a room for hours, young Alana wondered if this was the day her mother would take things too far and never wake up. Even after Mama June's public downfall, Alana was forced into a role no child should ever occupy. While most kids her age were thinking about friends, games, hobbies, or school dances, Alana was thinking about whether her mother was alive. She was checking on her sister Pumpkin's phone constantly, terrified of seeing a message break her world in half. She was listening for sirens. She was waiting for news alerts. She was bracing for the worst. The pressure was enormous and the emotional fallout was brutal. She says she learned to push through it, but the fear settled deep into her heart, shaping her personality, her decisions, and her constant need to prepare for disaster. For fans who watched Mama June's sensationalized downfall play out on television, The devastation was clear. But what the cameras didn't show was the emotional toll it took on Alana, who was still just a teenager when everything fell apart. She watched her mother lose her home, her health, her relationships, and even custody of her youngest daughter, all while battling a destructive, spiraling addiction that nearly cost June her life. The dark circles under Alana's eyes in those days, the strained smiles, the unusually quiet moments, the way she clung to Pumpkin, these things were symptoms of living in survival mode. Alana admits she constantly dreaded picking up her phone. Any call from a rehab center, a hospital, or a law enforcement officer could have delivered the news she feared most. Pumpkin, Lauren Shannon, became Alana's lifeline. Their sisterly bond grew into something deeper as Pumpkin stepped into the role of a surrogate parent, providing the stability and protection their mother couldn't. But even Pumpkin couldn't erase the fear Alana carried inside. Alana says that even when she was safe under Pumpkin's roof, free from the chaos of her mother's addiction, her mind never let her fully exhale. She was terrified not just of losing her mother but of losing her completely alone, without a chance to say goodbye, without a reconciliation, without closure. She feared she would one day wake up to flashing headlines announcing June's death. And because Alana grew up in a family where addiction had already claimed relationships, trust and stability, she feared it would eventually claim her. Addictions were no secret. Her struggles played out on national television with a rawness rarely seen. But what viewers saw was only a fraction of the pain her children endured. Alana describes moments that never made the show, the frantic late-night phone calls, the lies that unraveled, the promises her mother made during sober moments only to break when the cravings returned. She remembers hearing stories of overdoses happening to people around them, other families, other addicts, and realizing her own mother could easily be next. That possibility haunted her every day. And the worst part? She felt powerless to stop it. The emotional trauma Alana endured manifested in unexpected ways. She became hyper-independent yet deeply insecure. She learned to anticipate danger. She developed anxiety and trust issues. She grew used to being disappointed. She cared too quickly about people she shouldn't and struggled to maintain healthy boundaries because she feared abandonment. All of it traces back to the instability she experienced watching her mother disappear into addiction. Even when Mama June appeared to be doing better, Alana couldn't relax. She had seen her mother relapse too many times to believe things were truly safe. The fear of losing her, not figuratively but literally, never left her mind. What makes Alana's confession powerful isn't just the honesty, it's the courage it took to confront the truth. She spent years protecting her mother's image, covering for her, making excuses, pretending she wasn't hurting as deeply as she was. But she's done pretending. She's done staying silent. She wants people to understand that addiction doesn't just destroy the addict, it destroys the emotional world of everyone who loves them. And for her, that emotional destruction started before she was old enough to fully grasp the severity of the problem. Now, as Alana steps into adulthood, her perspective is clearer. She understands the psychological impact of what she lived through. The constant fear she carried, the fear that Mama June would shaped her into someone who expects the worst even when life is going well. She calls it emotional conditioning, a survival mechanism born from trauma. She admits that even today, when Mama June appears healthier and more grounded, the fear lingers in the background. Addiction doesn't just disappear, she says. The threat never completely vanishes. And she will never fully trust that her mother is out of danger, no matter how many times June promises she's clean. The complexity of Alana's relationship with Mama June is clear. She loves her mother deeply, but she also feels abandoned, betrayed, and emotionally scarred by the chaos she endured. She describes their connection as complicated, fragile, and painful. Mama June has apologized many times, but apologies alone cannot undo the trauma or erase the memory of all the nights Alana lay awake, scared her mother's heart would stop beating. The healing process is long and Alana is still walking that path. She is stronger now, wiser, and more honest about her pain, but she still carries the emotional scars of a childhood lived on edge. As for Mama June, she publicly insists that she's committed to sobriety and rebuilding her relationships with her daughters. She has expressed remorse for her past, acknowledging the damage her addiction caused. But the emotional gap between her and Alana remains deep. Trust is fragile. Communication is tense. Love is present but so is pain. And while Mama June claims she is doing better, Alana admits she can't simply erase years of fear. Addiction creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates trauma. Still, despite everything, Alana holds on to hope. Hope that her mother will stay clean, hope that they can rebuild their relationship, hope that her future will not be defined by fear. But she makes one thing clear: she will never again hide what she went through. She is done protecting the image of a mother who wasn't protecting her. She is ready to reclaim her truth, not just for herself but for others who grew up in households defined by addiction. Alana's emotional confession opens a new chapter, not only in her personal life but in the larger conversation about the children of addicts. Her story underscores the truth that addiction doesn't just affect the addict. It becomes a silent companion to everyone connected to them. Her fear of losing her mother to an overdose was not unreasonable. It was a rational response to a chaotic, dangerous environment she didn't choose. And the traumatic imprint of that fear is something she will carry for many years. But now, by speaking openly, she is turning pain into power. She is shedding light on a reality millions of children face but rarely discuss. She is breaking generational patterns of silence. She is showing strength and vulnerability. And with every word she shares, she takes another step forward, away from fear, away from chaos, and toward healing.